Getting interested when you have little or no interest. The challenge is to get people to take an uninteresting topic and make it interesting. The challenge is to get people to take an uninteresting topic and make it interesting. This is not to teach irrelevant things, but give people the tools to change their minds about subjects that they need to master. That is what this video is about. Example: if you are not a car mechanic, but you have to learn how to change the oil because you will be the only person around to do it, then show them how to become interested. If you don't like cooking, but you are going to be the only person to cook because you're going to live on your own for 6 months, then learn to cook just 4 meals that you really like. I can relate to the cooking because I have come through something similar. I was on my own for a number of years after being in a relationship where I hardly did any cooking. Then, when I was alone again, I got to eat only the survival meals that I could cook. There were very few meals that I could prepare that I really enjoyed the taste. So, I started cooking these meals that I liked, but could not easily get the flavors and textures right to how I used to enjoy them. So I at least made myself interested enough to see where I was going wrong. I did this by researching recipes and trying them out. Once I had a basic recipe that I liked, then I worked on this. Not sure how long, possibly 3 or 4 weeks, by cooking this meal once a week, and each time I tweaked it here and there. Long story short, I have now got my own menu/recipe book, and I have about 25 meals that I have tailor-made for me. They are very nice to eat, and I have easy ways of preparing them. It has most certainly taken some time, and I have done a fair amount of research and trial and errors. There have been many of those. I don't criticize myself each time. I just see what I liked and where I could possibly improve. It has become a nice game for me because I'm no longer a bad cook, and I also batch cook, so I don't have to spend every day in the kitchen. It's a win-win. I only achieved this by making myself interested in cooking. So how do you make people or yourself get interested? How is this possible? You will need to raise your interest. Get involved. Make a plan, Stan. And I don't mean cash interest, but rather your ability to start to enjoy that which you investigate, research, and learn. The point is that you can become interested in anything if you are prepared to put a bit of work into it. Yes, you are going to have to stretch your ability to confront something and then do some work, and then you will get to a point where you will naturally raise your interest. You can research how to become interested in something on the web, and this sounds like a good exercise, because if we get usable data on that, then we can most certainly use it. Another part of being able to do this raise your own interest is to move into action and games. That is to say, take action and start the research on the subject at hand. Let's look at action and games in a bit more detail. You have to go for it. Be able to trigger your mind into being inquisitive. Ask questions on why this is like that. Do some research, and you have then got a little bit more data, and therefore you are a little bit more informed. You keep going until you know enough to put it into practice and start to apply it. Example: if the total amount of information on a subject is 100%, and you don't know much about it, let's say you know about 3%, and yes, you don't like the subject, we get it. This is what this video is all about. So if you only know 3% in this boring subject, according to you, then you have to launch yourself into researching the subject some more. So you spend 30 minutes researching it and you collect some data, and now you know 6% of the subject. That is 3% more than what you previously knew. So you set aside 30 minutes each day and you collect more and more data. Then in 5 days you know 15% more than what you started off with. Gradient scale, baby steps. You keep this up for a number of weeks, and soon you know more than 50%. You can then look back at the same subject and you will have created much more interest than when you first started. Again, this is where the power of gradient scale comes in. A little each and every day gets the job done. We did not say that it was going to be easy, but if you just schedule to do a little each day, then that is more than nothing, and it will be solved by using the gradient scale. The gradient scale is a very powerful tool to use. You just edge on a little each day. This addresses two challenges. Number one, it allows you to confront just a little bit of that subject that you were not interested in. Number two, by confronting just a small part each day, you will stimulate some interest and chip away at this project until completion. You see, you have then solved, or at least partially solved, your lack of interest in this subject. The individual has to be super interested continuously in direct ratio to the amount of stops that you come across. So the bottom line to get around these blocks or stops is, the more stops you get, the more super interested you must be so as to solve it. This is gold, absolutely gold, but you have got to use it and manage it. You also need to ensure that you do not become involved emotionally, because this will slow you or stop you even more. It is a tough call to handle, because normally you are right in the middle of getting things done and you encounter this stop or slow, and now you're expected to be Mr. Cool or Mr. I will take it all in your stride. But this is what is required to handle and run this challenge through right now. Do not become emotionally involved. You will need to manage whatever slow or stop comes your way. This is a required management skill. You need to expect possible slows and stops and remove your emotion or your dramatizing. You may not agree, but I can assure you it is the very best way out. If you are a little hot-headed at the time, then go for a walk or remove yourself from the area for a bit of time, and then go back later and manage it. These are golden words, and they are true because they will handle your upset or challenge, your emotion or your dramatizing. If you cannot get more and more involved when you come across problems, stops and barriers, then you are letting yourself die off slowly. Read that again. It is you that is letting yourself die off slowly, not the person presenting the block, but you. Let us summarize. You are not interested in a subject for some reason, but you do need to get involved and become more informed in a subject. You will simply need to spend some time on this subject regardless of your lack of confront or considerations. You will need to understand that. You will have to drop your protest, drop your emotion and dislike of the subject. This is the main reason that you are not interested and not willing to confront this subject. So swallow your pride and set aside 30 minutes or more each day to read up on said subject. Keep this up, and then you can look back on it in a few days or weeks, and you will have advanced yourself and your interest on the subject. You are going to have to go for it. You see, you have then solved, or at least partially solved, your lack of interest in the subject. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it, as it really does help push these videos out to a much wider audience. If you are new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and join this growing community of like-minded people. All the best from Lots of Healing.